we know for sure we need to create other explicit measures in order to understand the data we have. But at the moment, we do not even know which measure do I need to create in order to visualize and make report and make dashboard. Because of that, we need to understand a little more about data visualization. We need to understand about data reporting, storyboarding. How do we determine the questions we want to answer using the data we have? Let's get started on that. On data visualization, we need to first of all understand the fundamentals of building reports. What are those things you need to take into consideration? First of all, you need to ask yourself, what is my key message? What story do you want to tell? What do you want your audience to know? Because you need to know that report design is a mixture of science and art. And for you to effectively communicate, you need to meet the requirement of the audience. Effective communication matters a lot. You need to understand that what type of data do I have? The type of data you have is going to determine the type of charts you are going to use. Are they just numerical data, a mixture of numeric data or categorical data? Are they time series data? Are they geospatial? These type of data all have different ways in which you have to visualize them. What does your audience need? Who is also going to be the end user consuming these reports? You need to know that when you build reports, the simpler, the better. Sometimes a simple text is all you need. Sometimes a number that is just appearing with some big font size is all you need to communicate. Sometimes you just need to annotate properly to make and tell your story well. You need to understand a complex chart is going to be difficult for the end user to understand the data you are trying to show. So it may not always suit the need of your audience. The kind of report you are going to build for an analyst is going to be different from a manager. It is also going to be different for a CEO or your clients or your customers. The managers may just be interested in knowing their own performance and the performance of those people that work with them. A CEO is more interested in some KPI, things like the total profits. He wants to see those figures. How much are we growing on yearly basis? These are some of the most important questions that may be important for a CEO, which may not be important for the client or for the customer. So, you need to design reports based on the need of the audience. Also, when you have now identified and answered some of these questions, you now begin to think, how do I tell a story from my data? How do you tell a story from the data that you have? This kind of story may be things like who. You want to let your data to answer questions about who, which could be related to customers, managers, clients. It's just talking about persons in your reports. You could also want to answer questions related to what. Maybe you want to know what products that are selling more so that you know what to do. And you want to know those products that are not selling well so that you can find a way to improve these particular products. You could also want to know where. Is there a particular region where you are making more sales? You may also want to know things about when. Are there a particular period in time in which we make more sales? And you want to understand the why. Why are we making more sales in those particular period? Is it because it's an holiday period? Is it because it's a closing time? Is it because it's a weekend? Is it because it's a weekday? You could also want to understand how many customers do we have? How many customers are very valuable to us? How many customers keep coming? How many products are returned? These are all questions you may want to tell from your story or from your data. Then, with respect to the data, the global superstore data that we have, you could be interested in what is my total sales for a selected year and region. How is my profit doing year over year? How are my transactions volume trending for various states in my region? How is my sales doing by channel and device category for selected year? You could also be interested which categories are performing best to worst by sales, profit, and transactions. All these things are important. But for you to tell a good story, you need to understand there are 5 C's you need to take note for effective data visualization. I won't be going deeper into this because this course is not really about data visualization. It is about how to use Power BI. There are hours of videos we could just do on effective data visualization alone. But let us just benefit about 5 C's for effective data visualization. First of all, you just need to choose the right chart type. When you need to use a line chart, you need to understand, when do I need to use a scatter plot? When do I need to use a bar chart? When can I use a pie chart? When can I use a table, a matrix, a KPI, a card, visual, a map? You need to understand it. You need to choose the right chart type. Once you choose the wrong chart type, then your audience may not get what they need to get from that particular visualization. You also need to remove ambiguity from your report. Anything that does not add value to that report or that does not increase the understanding of that particular visualization or of that particular data you are trying to tell a story with, remove it. Remove ambiguity. Don't let the audience get lost when they are trying to understand what you have built. You also need to lead the eye. You need to know how to use color effectively. Sometimes some people will use red color to signify danger or to signify that the company or organization is making some loss. Sometimes red color can tell another thing entirely. You need to just lead the eye, basically. You need to know how to use color effectively. And that is why I said data visualization is a science and an art. There is a science to it, and there's also an art to it. You need to be like an artist to choose the proper color. You need to reduce cognitive load. Remember, anything that does not add more information or increase the understanding of that particular data and report, remove it. Sometimes it could just be grid lines. Sometimes it may be too much text. Sometimes you need to change from a bold to a normal font type. All these things could be clutter that you need to remove. Reduce cognitive load. The more things you put on your chart, the more cognitive load you are putting on your audience. Remember, you want to build with the audience in mind. And context. It is important to tell a story. This is the big goal. You have to be able to tell the story. Let your audience see what you are trying to let them see. You understand? Let them see what you are trying to let them see. Sometimes you may show, but they don't see. So you need to put a context to it. If you are trying to show that a particular region is the one that always sells more, put something there to let them see. It may just be a particular color alone that will make the whole difference. It may be size, it may be spacing, it may be a combination of some of these things that I've mentioned. So when you want to tell a story from your data, you need to look at yourself and ask yourself this important question. What am I measuring? What you measure determines the kind of story you can tell. Your story could be about total sales, profit, transactions. When you have a story to tell about total sales, profit, transactions, these are measures which live in fact tables because they are numeric. For example, these are things that happen daily. They are observations and events that grow. But for you to tell your story well, you need to be able to describe your sales. So when you describe, you need dimensions. Then your description can be in form of time, geography, category, region, state, market, country. These are all attributes that live in dimension tables. Now, when we look at our own dataset, the Superstores dataset, we have some recommended analysis we could do. E.g., we may be interested in knowing the total amount of sales, profit, and transactions volume. We also want to be able to identify top-selling products and product categories. We want to evaluate the profitability of product and product categories. Which countries does the store make more profits? Which customers are more valuable? We want to explore seasonal patterns in sales and identify peak periods. We also want to be able to identify the most and least popular product and categories. We also want to be able to analyze sales trends over time, including monthly or quarterly trends, and explore seasonal patterns in sales and identify peak periods. We also want to know, are there days of the week with more sales? This analysis, sometimes, if you work for an organization or you have a client you want to analyze his or her data, they may give you. But most of the time, they won't give you. You need to come up with these questions yourself as an analyst. But before you start building that report and creating measures, you need to show your clients, you need to show your manager, you need to show whoever is going to consume this report. Are these questions part of things you are thinking of? Most of the time, they will say, oh, I need this. I do not need this. Then you know they have something they want. You need to design and build based on what your audience wants. If you don't do that, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. And your report may not eventually meet their needs. You may have designed something very beautiful. The aesthetic may be top-notch, but they do not want answers to the questions you have answered. So it's important to come up with this very important question. Another thing that is important is you need to storyboard. You need to have a plan. Building reports and designing reports, you are like an architect. Before you build a house, we have architects that will come up with a plan. This is where the bathroom is going to be. This is where the living room is going to be, the bedroom, the kitchen, the parking space. You design all those things. As a Power BI data analyst too, you need to come up with a plan. Where do I put this answer to a particular question? It is your job to do that. So, we need to do that activity. If you are following me, you need to pick your pen and some paper or some application, open it up, and let us come up with a storyboard. So, I'm going to use my own Power BI to do storyboarding. And I'm just going to open a page. And on this page, I'm going to try and arrange how I want my chart to look like. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a text box. This is my text box I have over here, and I have this text box. I'm just going to come to effects, change the color. Then I increase the font size. Then what are some of the questions I'm trying to answer? For example, I want to answer questions like which products generate more profits or more revenue, Then I'm interested in this, and we can just copy and paste this visual. Then I'm interested in answering question. This is about geography, which is which countries top 10 profitable, because maybe we have more countries like 30, but I'm only interested in top 10. I also want to know my customers. Yes, to be customer centric is important for any business. So I can put something like customers. This is about who, persons. Then which customers are more valuable. So we mean which customers are making more sales, patronizing you the more. Then, or spending more money. Then we can have something about what, which maybe which category or sales by category. I'm interested in that. Then we can have something about time also. Then maybe we are interested in that's going to be when. So maybe sales by time, which can be year or month. So I'm interested in this. So we may need more space for this particular video because it's going to be a line chart, and we've done that. And also, I'm also interested in putting total for sales, total for revenue, and things like that. So we have total sales. I want a snapshot on top that shows the total sales. Then I want total profits. Maybe I also want to see the total discounts that we've given for each of the years, for each year. Then I want to know returns. Good. Then, because I am going to be filtering my data somehow, I can also decide to add something that we call a slicer. We are going to learn about it briefly. So what is this slicer going to do? This slicer can be slicer for years and months. This is just a report page that we are building now. Just one report page. Basically, your report page should not have too much visuals. Sometimes I see some report page, they have 10 visualization. In most cases, you will just need maybe about 6. 6 sometimes could be a lot. But there's no rule of thumb. Remember, it's about the audience, the kind of question you are trying to answer. All those things determine what you put on your report. Good. So we have this already. So we can call this a storyboarding page. We can call it sales summary storyboarding. Good. Now we want to create another page of storyboarding, and we can call it, that one is going to be related to time intelligence. We want to answer a lot of questions about time. Time is very important for businesses. So we are going to call it storyboarding again, but this is about time. Good. So for this, let us just paste the previous visual we've been pasting, and we can say that maybe we are interested in sales by day. We want to know maybe we make more sales on a particular day. So sales by day of the week. Then we want to also know sales in current year. We want to compare sales in current year and previous year. We want to compare both of them together. And we also want to see sales by year. Both of them are different. We want to compare sales in current year versus previous year, but this is going to be sales versus months, but comparing 2 years together, but this is just sales by year. Then we want to do what we call transactions. So we want to know how much. This is not about money now. It's not about how much are they spending, but how many transactions is happening per product or per year. So we can do transactions. We can have the same thing as this and just paste it over here and have transactions. Good. Everything is looking good. Then we want to be able to filter this report. So we put a filter, which is going to be a slicer for year, so that I can select a particular year I'm interested in, and boom, it shows me the results. This is all part of storyboarding. Good. Then we want to do another storyboarding page. This is going to be related to demographics. So in terms of geography, let's call it geography. And on this page, what do we want to put there? Let's just copy and paste first inside it. So what we want to put there is we want to put different metric, let's just call it metric by market. So the metric can be sales, it can be profit, it can be discount. We are going to see what it means. Then we have metric by region. Then we can have this as the metric selector. It is going to be a slicer. So if I want to see sales by market, I'm going to select my sales over here. And if I want to see profit by market, I'm going to select profit. If I want to see discounts by market, I'm going to select discounts from the slicer I have over here. You can see now that all this is about storyboarding. Also, there's something I also want to be able to do. I want to be able to navigate from one report page to another report page. How do I do this? In order to do this, we just need to include the shape also there as part of our plan. So we can just paste again and change the shape. The size. And this is going to be like buttons. So it's going to be sales report button, then time intelligence report button, then the geography button. The geography report button. Then we can just increase the size. Good. So this is what we want. So I can just copy and paste this button since I want it to be on all my report page. So I think I'm unable to copy it correctly. Let me try one more time. I'm going to select it. So Ctrl C, then we come to another report page, Ctrl V. I'm able to copy it now. Then we paste it here. Now we have a plan. Based on this plan, I can now begin to write the measures I need to create to achieve this goal. What are the names of the measures I need? Because we need measures, definitely. But what are those names of those measures? We can begin to write it. So let us just come over here and just do something like this, and Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and we can just, this is not part of our report. We just want to call it as a measure list. It's good to always have a plan. Plan is very important. We already have measure for sales, measure for profit, measure for discount. Then I need a measure for return. because I want to know, and I need a measure for transaction volume. Then what else do we need based on the questions we've asked ourselves? What else do we need? We need something about sales in previous year. Then we need transaction in previous year. Then we can call it PY. Then we can do something like sales same period last year, which is SPLY. Then transaction SPLY. We can also do other measures like sales to date. So maybe we have sales within a month, like cumulative sales. So that's sales year to date. That is YTD. Then transaction YTD. These are some of the very important questions. Then we want sales year on year. We want it as a value and as a percentage. Then we want what again? Transaction year on year. Then transaction again, percent. This process is very important. A lot of people overlook it. They think they are wasting time, but it is important because now we have a plan and it will reduce going back and forth. Then we have transaction YOY, transaction YOY percent. Good. Let us check some of the questions again. Customers are more valuable. Slicer for year, slicer for current year. Everything looks good. Good. So I think these are some of the important measures we need to create. And we have an idea now of what we need to create.